Okay. Uh, so for that, let's check the flow first. Then we'll understand the file structure and database connection. So there are two
Okay.
users into the
One
application.
second. I got a pop-up. Okay.
Okay, so there are two users. One is the admin, and second is end user as a customer that's going to work under the application. So I just logged in as an admin. And after
Mhm.
login as an admin, what admin can do over there, admin can check the administration part where admin can add a new user. So admin can register over there. So let's suppose I'm going to register as a new user. So I select a bank and the account type, the title. So let's suppose I enter the like saving account or some random thing that are here, the account name. So I'm going to enter some random data over there. The first name, last name, login ID. So let's suppose I enter 3123 and the password. The password combination will be demo at the rate 123. First letter will be capital, and after that you can put some character over there and some special character, and then the digit. Yes, that will keep a combination. Enter a valid email ID. So I'm just going to enter this. And we need to enter the date of birth. So under the date of birth, the date format will be TD, and YY full time, and it will come with a slash. 10, you have to enter the like mobile number as a 10-digit phone number. So it should be a valid 10-digit data. Select a fixed number. So I'm going to just enter some number. Nationality. Nationality. Going to save it. Okay, so it's giving me a message like it should be a valid email ID. So I just verify the mail format, login ID format. Okay. So it should be contain a first capital letter as a
Mhm.
user 1234. I'm just adding this. All the data is already. Can you check the demo once? Check. Yeah. So login ID and email ID will be same for the users, or you can check the format here, and the other user also using the same email ID as a login ID. So it should be a email ID. So when I refresh the page, I can see that user is registered under the user table, and that record will be displayed here at the last here. This is the record that we have just added over there. Now, apart from that, user can perform some other operations like add bank. Admin can add a bank, so I can add a bank here. I just need to enter the IFSC code of the bank and the short code description. Now, these banks are displayed under these are the reports where like we have just added the user. That user will be displayed here. It's displaying here. After that, we have a bank report. So under the bank report, we'll see the data that the bank that we have just added. And after that, admin can check all the transaction that is performing by the users. Apart from that, the user report, fund transfer report, in case if any transaction is happened over there, it should be completed or not. And also admin can add a book transaction. So here admin need to enter the like amount and fill up the account numbers where you will find the account number under the user table. There will be a field called account number. Okay, here is the account number. So you can enter the account number over there. It's like the operation, transaction type. You can enter some amount and writing, transaction date. So you can enter
When the
this.
new user enters, how will they get the account number?
Currently, I'm demonstrating the admin part. I didn't come on the user part. So after that, we move it.
Okay.
Okay, so transaction is added over there, and same transaction you can check under the transactions data here, transactions report here. Okay, now as we have added the admin over there, and so from the admin side, we can add the user, but for that user, the account number will be generated automatically, and this is the account number. So admin will know the account number, and we can pass the data to the user. When I log out from here, I can register as a new user. Again, I have to select the bank. I just select the bank account type and the title. Again, the account name, the first name, last name, login ID, and it should be Gmail ID and the password. And the copy the name here. Let's see. Now this user again will display another user table, and you can log in with that user. So I'll just go there and check the inventory over there. So under here we have a login ID and the password. So this is my login ID and the password. Okay, but for that, I have to add some balance, I guess. So currently that user doesn't have amount. So first, what we have to do, we have to go there and log in as an admin and add some amount first for that user, like as a deposit money. So I just logged in again by the admin. So currently I can check user here under the user report. It is available. Now I want to add account on some balance on this account number. Let's suppose the deposit money is uh, so I'm entering 13,000 and okay, this is the account. So this is the account number. And then now that user have the balance, and now we can log in as a user and we can perform the operations. So here, this is the user here. Yeah, the password was just logged in. You can see the account balance, the 10,000 is one lick. Fund transfer. It says I want to transfer a fund. So beneficiary accounts, let's suppose we have recently added another user uh, that have the account number as a this one. Let's suppose I want to transfer the 5,000 rupees into the routing. Say fund transfer. Fund transfer report, I can check the history of transaction here. And as a user, I can check the books transaction report that is I'm getting from somewhere. And under this, we have a my profile option, we have a change password, and we have a logout option. And yeah, that's it. From the flow side, now let's understand the code structure, how the code is working over there. So it's a Spring project, and it's following the MVC, and it's a Maven project. So all the dependencies is managing under the Maven part. Okay, so all the required dependencies APIs we are using internal external APIs that will come under the this dependency section. Okay, so from the top, let's understand what are the packages that are the required in this project. And here, if you see the first folder over there under the SRC main Java, that is a controller. So controller package contain all the controller classes that will be mediated between a view and uh, this is the part of MVC controller. So in MVC model, it comes as a model and C is a controller, and view is a view part. So this is the mediator that's going to take a request from the front end and going to send the response to the model and again get the response from the model and send that response to view again. So these are the mediator. For each and every module, we have a separate controller that's going to take the data from the view part and getting the response and sending the response back to you. Another package, we have a DAO. So DAO contains the implementation of the database transactions. So for each module, we have an interface and an implementation class. So these are the classes that we are using for particular operations. And suppose it's account balance DAO. So this is contain the information related to the account balance DAO. So whatever the operation will perform, it will say like add operation will be there, delete update find by key. So whatever the database transaction I need to perform over there, I just define the method here as an interface, and under the DAO implementation, we are implementing those methods to perform the task. So we are hit- mm, mm, b- by the using of the Hibernate, we are creating a session factory object and we are performing the operation over there to perform the CRUD operation accordingly. So whenever I need to perform that operation under the controller, we will call this DAOs. After the DAO, we have a DTO. So DTO is define a database table format. So here we are using, there are two use of the DTOs. It's work as an entity. Entity means like it's contain the database status for each and every attribute that is coming from the front end, and after that it defines the table format into the database. So here we are using some annotations, entity annotations, and the table annotations that contain the name of the table, and the column should what should be the column over there. So what should be line. So a complete definition will be there under the entity part. So for each module, again, we have entities. So if you open any entity, it will be in the same format. Just properties will be changed over there. Like there is a first name, last name, and here under the bank DTO, the details are available for the bank. Under the exception, we are managing the exception. Some common exception, we are creating a the custom exception as the application database exception, duplicate record, or like record is not found exception. So what we're doing here, we are just calling the super class of the exception, and we are returning the same error message that is coming from the super class of exception. In all exception, we are doing the same. Whenever I need to throw this type of exception, I will call this class and just pass my message, and it will return that message to front end or the error side. Form is going to use here as a validation part. So whatever the data will user going to enter into the form, and when user at the time user hit the submit button, the data will come into this forms and it will verify the data. The data should be valid or not. So we are getting the data, and also here another thing, we are populating the data. It means we are converting those properties into an object, and after that, that object will revert into the complete application over the controller. Under the service section, we are performing a business logics in case I need to perform any business logics before submitting the data into the database, or after submitting data into the database. Those operations will be performing into the service section. So in the service also we have interfaces where we are defining the methods, and after that we have a same implementation class for the same where we are implementing the methods. So let's suppose under the user section, if you see, we have a methods here as an add method, update method, delete method. These are the same method that we are using into a DTO, into a DAO. But this time we are not performing the while we implementing this method. The time we are not performing the database operations. Apart from that, we are performing a business operations, and we are getting the object from the form, and we are passing the converting that object and and performing whatever the business logic is required. After that, we are calling the DAOs here, and the DAO will get that object that is coming from the service class and send a response. Under the utility, so this is work as a same Java package. We have a utility package into the Java. Same we are using for this specific project as a util. So what data utility is doing here? Data utility is verifying the format of in case I need to convert something and some value. Let's suppose we are getting an integer value and we need to convert that integer value into the string, or we are getting some string value. We need to convert that string into an object, or sometime I need to convert the object into a string. So that's why we have a different methods here. So as per the need, we are called that methods from the data utility. So it's just converting data into one form to other form. Under the data validator, we are verifying the data. Let's suppose I need to verify the password format. So I'm just passing the regex over there, and the regex will check the data is in a separate format or not. After that is phone number. So as per the use, we are calling these classes, these methods from the data utility class. And email builder as a template in case if you need to use the email. So this is the method that will give me a complete template of an email. That's it. There is only one class. And after that, we have a persistent MySQL property class. This is your database configuration class where we're passing the URL that we're using for the database and driver name, username, password, and other required parameters for the database. And this is the testing thing. So in case if testing team or like anyone want to write the test cases for the application, for the automation, so we can write under the test package. Here we are using the third-party APIs that we are using as we are using a Spring. So these are my jar files that is coming from the form.xml where we are defining the dependencies. So these are the complete like jar files that we are using in this application. Yeah, as we are using Maven, so it's come under the Maven project. So here we have another server. Server is a Tomcat 8.5. So this is we are just integrated the server. So it's displaying here. So we are using server as a Tomcat 8.5 here. So the same server will display here. The application is running onto the Java version. Java runtime environment is 1.8. So we set it here. And under the deployed, the same files will be deployed under the deployed section. So after the deployed, these deployment will run over the Tomcat. Under the SRC, contain our view part of the MVC. So if you notice, it's following MVC. So whatever the things you will see under the web folder that is come under the view part, and whatever things you will see under the DAO section that will come as a model, and whatever the classes you will see under the controller part, it will come as a controller part. I will give you an introduction like how the transaction happening within there. And here under the view, we have these JSP files that contain our front end part and front end things. After that, we have again that form.xml that contain the project configuration and dependency information. Now let's see one example of how these files are connected to each other. So let's suppose take an example of login. So under this login view, we have a login page. Okay, yeah. So when user going to submit the form, like it's a simple HTML code, and when user going to fill up the input field username and the password and hit the submit button, the form will be sent to the request in the form of post method, and the request will be sent to the login method. So where request will go, will send it will go there into the controller. So the execution flow of the MVC will be the request will be sent to view part to controller and controller to model. Then model will send a response back to the controller and controller send the same response back to the view part. So currently we are on the view. So when user submit the form, the request will be sent to the controller, which is our login controller. So with a similar name, you will find the controller over there. So you can see here we have a login controller. Under there we are managing all the mappings. So here we have a post mapping here that is coming in the name of login, and here we are getting the data from the login form. We are getting the data and we pass the data into a to the service class. So now here we are just checking and verifying the data is coming from the front end should be valid or not. And after that, we are calling a service method which is authentication, and we're passing the data that is coming from the front end to the authentication. It means that after controller, the request will send it to the service part, So under the service, we have authentication with the same name, as a login. You will find the authentication method over there. So if I move to the service section, there is a service package. Okay, here is a service package. You will find the user service implementation here. Uh, Under the service interface, you will find the definition, and here you will find the implementation of the particular of that same method. So under the authentication send method, we are calling the data, and we are calling a method from a DAO. So request like in the service currently for the login purpose, we don't need to perform any business logic. So we are just directly calling the data from the DAO, a method from the DAO authentication method, and passing the same data to the authentication method. Now, if I move there under the DAO section, under the DAO method, authentication method, we this is the implementation of that. But if I go like this is the definition of the DAO interface. But if I go into the implementation section, you will see the database transition over there. So here is the implementation, user DAO implementation. So the method name was authentication. I will search it first. Mhm. Okay, here we are getting the same data into a user object, and we are creating a session object from the database, and we are passing the data, and we are performing the query. It will return an object. The same object will be handled by this DAO, by the service, and return the same object to the controller, and controller will get that object into a beam. It means it will send the user information, and it will redirect the information to the welcome page. If everything is fine, otherwise it will send an error message with the login ID password is invalid, and the same response will be handled here as a business messages. It should be it can be error, or it can be a success message. So under the business message.jsp, we are handling those things as an error message or as a success message. This will be your entire flow of the application. And in case you have any question, you can ask me.
For now, I don't have. I'll